What's going on, guys? Welcome to part 2 of the longest Q&A ever. Let's jump right into the questions. Kyle Koslow, what brings you joy? Not what do you do for fun? It's a really deep question. What brings me joy? Not what do I do for fun? Seeing my wife happy. Seeing Jessie smile. Knowing she's safe, knowing she's happy. That brings me joy. Exercise, CrossFit, it brings me joy, but I also like to do that for fun. And knowing that I can make a difference in someone else's life through this platform. Even if it's a small one, that does bring me joy. Eve VL again asks, what do you think about veganism? In one of your videos, also someone mentioned it, and I would be interested in knowing your opinion on that subject. I've read the China study. I believe there's a lot of good science behind veganism. I think that it may very well be the healthiest possible choice we can make for our life, our organ health, our heart health. But I just don't think I'm ready for it. So it's like one of those things that I respect anyone who wants to venture down that path and who's faithful to it, because it's certainly relatively restrictive, you know, with our modern day food in the way society is. But it's not for me right now. I don't even know that I wouldn't do it. I just haven't made the commitment to do it. AEM asks, what do you think of taking Propecia? Don't know what that is. While on TRT. As you know, Propecia prevents the conversion of testosterone to DHT. I don't have an opinion on this. I'm so sorry. You waited a long time to hear me say I don't know what that is. I mean, I've just read it, but I don't have an opinion on it. What is your update on the clonazepam and the Lamictal? As far as the clonazepam, aka the Klonopin, goes, I used it for like 15 days straight, low dose, 0.25 to 0.375 a day. Every day for like 15 days, and overall experience with it was very positive. It seems to mute symptoms of anxiety and slightly of depression. Takes the tightness out of my chest, slows down the rumination. I don't have any euphoria or any buzz, so to speak. I don't feel stoned. I don't feel lethargic or sedated, rather, would be a better word. But I understand, and from everything I'm reading, that daily Klonopin is a risk. It's a risk that I'm not willing to take, so I haven't taken any for about a week, and I'm keeping it on deck as needed. So I've got 0.25 pills, and I'll take them as I need them for really hard days. But, I mean, in certain ways, it's felt like a miracle drug, and that means I got to be careful, because I noticed myself in those couple weeks where I took it every day, like, oh, it was such a security blanket. Like, I psychologically already was getting addicted to it. Where it's like, I like knowing, or at least I like feeling like I might be okay today, no matter what. And so I got to be careful, be respectful, and use it as needed, because from the horror stories I'm reading, that shit's no joke to come off of if you get physically dependent. As far as the Lamictal goes, I'm just too afraid to try it, because someone told me about this possible rash that is very rare, but also can be fatal. And when I heard that, I was like, nope. Matthew Aragon asks, are you getting fucked up now when you drink? If not, what do you tell yourself to keep from going overboard? I'm not really telling myself anything right now. I was really, really thinking hard about it the first couple times I drank. Control your drinking, prove that you're normal. Right now, it's more just like, I'm letting myself do what I feel. So probably drinking once or twice a week. I've had a number of drinking experiences where I had 2 or 3, and that's all I was in the mood for. And I've had a few experiences where I got pretty drunk, and that's what I was in the mood for. And I'm not questioning it. I'm not overthinking it. I'm not judging it. For right now, it is what it is. It's more like, okay, how are you feeling now? Like the next day, are you obsessing or thinking over it? Are you feeling guilt or shame? Why? Where does that come from? Is it inherently bad to get drunk in general? And I'm just sort of exploring it. I'm not overthinking it too much right now. Right, wrong, or indifferent. Singing Blueberry. How do you tell new people in your life who don't have any idea of psychological problems that you're suffering from depression and anxiety? I mean, even if you love them and trust them, how do you begin to talk about these topics? Did you ever meet people who reacted negative to your depression? And if so, how did you deal with it? I mean, first of all, I think more people understand at least something about depression and anxiety than a lot of us give people credit for. Secondly, and I sort of mentioned this in a different thing, I don't really tell people unless it makes sense to tell people. There has to be like a reasonable need to go ahead and explain these things. And I think I start by making the conversation very open and vague and being kind of like, it's hard to explain this, but you almost have to take pride in your depression. You almost have to be confident about it. Like, yeah, I struggle with depression. What does that mean? It means it's hard for me to get out of bed. It's hard for me to want to do anything. It means I think about death sometimes. It means that I'm scared all the time for no reason. It means I feel dull and blunt. And they're like, oh, weird, that's crazy. Like, yeah, a lot of people struggle with this. I think you have to know enough about your situation, your condition, and then be confident enough to just explain how you feel, and don't put any like negative connotation to it, like, oh yeah, I know, it's kind of embarrassing, or I'm really ashamed of it. Like, I think a lot of the reason we don't want to talk about it is because we don't want to be judged. I think you have to let that go. The more confident you are, I think the more people just respect it and the more appreciative they are that you're sharing it. And of course you're going to find outliers. Some people are just going to be dicks, and there's no way around that, and you just have to be okay with that. Additionally, do you feel comfortable forcing yourself to answer questions that could hit you this hard? Because I don't. I feel a little worried about you, Noah. Nobody forces you to tell us the truth about your whole life. You can always say no if you feel you shouldn't talk about something. Just keep that in mind, okay? I appreciate that. How about this? If I'm going to answer, I'm going to answer as honestly as I can. And if I don't want to answer, that's a good point. I don't have to. But, I don't know. I sort of made it a point that if I'm going to have this channel and for however long people want to watch, the least I can do is be honest with people. And a lot of people, I've had people challenge my integrity and question my honesty, and it's like maddening because like there's no way to prove that you're not lying. I try to not take it personal if people think I'm bullshitting, and I try to be as authentic as I can at all costs. Jillian Sarah Halkett. You said that you didn't experience the kinds of improvements in your mental health that you were looking for during sobriety. How are you feeling now? How do you feel about the effect of taking a depressant like alcohol on your mental health? I know how personal everyone's recovery is, and I fully respect you. Thank you. I'm feeling okay right now. I am. At the moment, I'm feeling okay. It hasn't deteriorated my mental health in any noticeable way yet, as of now. Mind you, I'm not really drinking more than about once a week. I've drank more than once a week, but in general, I'd say about once, maybe twice a week. And I'm not getting trashed each time that I drink, so it seems to be going okay. What's been harder is like, my ego and my pride has been hit pretty hard, and I've been afraid of you guys to an extent and worried about being judged. That has come up a little bit inside me. Alcohol is a central nervous system depressant, for whatever that's worth. Over drinking can take a toll on someone's mental health, and that was like my biggest fear. Like, is drinking in general going to mean that the mental health that already can be very finicky with me, very hard to hold on to, is it now going to spiral out of control? And trust me, I don't do well spiraling, and so it hasn't so far, and I'll be very ready to make a move if it does. But right now I'm just trying to be patient. It's been a confusing time. The whole thing's been confusing. Fallen Pixel. Do you ever experience DPDR anymore? Maybe in a small way. When I first experienced depersonalization, it was so extreme and it was so intense that it was impossible to confuse it for anything else once I understood what it was. Now it's like I think I more experienced some bad brain fog. Depression can confuse people into thinking it's depersonalization because you just feel so blah and down and the world looks gray. But my true DPDR feelings are pretty mild at this point. And mostly I don't notice them. Artistic amnesia. Have you continued to drink? If so, how's it going? If you stopped again, why? If you made it this far in the Q&A, you probably know that I've continued to drink. And so far, I think it's going okay. I suppose it depends on who you ask. Because I'm sure there's a lot of people that would say drinking to get drunk once a week is not okay. But that's what I've been doing. When I say drinking to get drunk, like I'm not talking about like stumbling around and fumbling my words. I'm perfectly coherent. I just mean, drinking to get a buzz. Next question from Artistic Amnesia. You're going back to school. You get married. YouTube on both channels is doing good. Your depression isn't gone, but you seem to be living life and doing okay. Do you think the want to drink is self-sabotage when things are going pretty well? I don't know. My psychiatrist brought this up. Is the drinking thing just purely a self-sabotage? I don't know. It's basically a drinking Q&A. I think I was feeling suffocated by my sobriety. And from what I recall about life before this relapse, when I was drinking, I would end up feeling suffocated by my drinking. Does that make sense? Always longing to strike a balance, some balance, because being stone cold sober forever, it never sat well with me. I always felt like I was missing out on some part of life. But being overly absorbed in drinking always felt like I was missing out on the sober part of life. I never could deal with that suffocation on either end. This is perhaps a vain attempt to do so. And then we'll just add it to my list of stories. Am I sure that stopping drinking before didn't actually help me get to where I am? Am I also sure that I could have done so much or come so far if I kept drinking? No, getting sober, I needed to get sober when I got sober. Like, drinking again hasn't, it didn't make, drinking again hasn't like led me to negate the importance or the power of my nearly 2 years of being sober. That was a very necessary thing for me. I grew up a lot during that time. I accomplished a lot. It was important. And listen, guys, I'm not saying that I know that this is the right thing. I'm not saying I know that I will continue to be a drinker. I'm just letting you know what is right now. But no, I don't think I could have accomplished the things I accomplished without getting sober. I'm a different person now. It's a different time in my life. And whether I'm just being tricked by my own brain or whether it could possibly be true, I have to see if things are different. And that might make me look absolutely crazy to some of you. But it's my life. I have to figure it out. Billy Coker, knowing your past, how could you just let yourself go back to drink? How does your wife feel about it? It was a risky thing to do. Knowing my past, it was a risky thing to do. And for whatever reason, I chose to take that risk. Now, here's what my wife said. My wife said to me when I was preparing to drink again, she said, listen, you're an adult. I love you. I'm not going to sit here and throw an ultimatum in your face and tell you can't do this. However, if this doesn't go well, it's on you. You have to live with the potential consequences. But she said she was willing to let me experience this and see, because she understands, she's seen me in sobriety. It takes a lot of work and a lot of time and a lot of effort. No one can do that for me. So if this leads to any more self-realization, or if it further improves my dedication towards sobriety, or if I happen to be an anomaly who can work back into some level of drinking without it deeply affecting my life, she was just down for me to figure that out. But she's also just made it clear that the consequences were mine to accept, whatever that means. And I appreciated the way she did that, because an ultimatum would have been tough to deal with. Tani asks, Noah, how long does it take until you break the anxiety cycle? Is it depend on how long you have suffered and how many memories you have about your past suffering and how many places you have avoided? Thank you. Thanks. Hope you're doing better after the setback. Some of my anxiety cycles have lasted an extremely long time. I mean, I've had them shift as quickly as a day, and I've held on to certain obsessive, ruminating, anxious cycles for months. Really just depends. Sometimes I feel like it's random. I feel like it's so fucking random when it lifts or how it lifts. That's one thing that finding clonazepam has been really cool. Or that's one thing about finding clonazepam that's been amazing, is that it has the ability to shift something immediately, which I really like. How did your brother and your family deal with your darkest moment as being a caregiver? What can they do to help you get better? So being a caregiver for someone who's severely depressed is really hard. That's hard work. The best thing, like I always say, they can do is take care of themselves and to tag team it, rotate, work together. No one person can handle another person's severe depression. No chance, no prayer. Now, the good thing about it for them on my situation, or given my situation, was that I was actively trying to get better. What makes it really hard is when the person who's severely depressed has lost the will to fight, and so they're just so lost that they're not even trying anymore. You know, I experienced feelings like that and days like that, but in general, I always tried to keep fighting just in case I might survive. So the only advice I have for caregivers is to take care of yourself first. First and foremost, don't try to fix the person. Love them and support them, and understand that they're like an infant. They're like a child, and you're no longer in the same place with them in terms of how the dynamic goes. If you can accept that and not, put any strings on their recovery and work together, there's a good chance you can be a part of their healing. JT Jordan says, do you think there is any seasonal component to your mental health issue? If I recall correctly, you crashed and burned right after this last Thanksgiving, correct? As a corollary, do you think that living in the Pacific Northwest exacerbates your depression? Would you ever consider a move to a sunnier climate as a possible way of naturally handling your depression? You mentioned family in San Diego. If there is a seasonal component to my depression, I don't specifically recognize it. I have spent full summers severely depressed and loathing the sun because I always felt like the sun, it just highlighted this bright, beautiful world that I can't experience anymore and I can't feel. I found myself being very comforted by the overcast and the rain during those seasons because that was more in tune with how I felt. It seemed easier to be outside during those times. I haven't considered moving in it, but I think if there is a component, it's mild. It's mild. Despite how severe my depression and anxiety can get and how erratic it can be, I've just never correlated it to the weather. I've seen my mood go so many directions, so many different seasons that I just don't buy that could be it for me. Dale Johanna says, "Hi Noah, I'm in a place right now where I want to lose some weight and be happy with how I look good and feel good for the summer. I know what to do and how to do it successfully, and I also know that it will be incredibly hard on both mind and body. So I'm wondering, is it worth it? Is the 20-ish pounds of weight loss to have a barely visible six-pack truly worth it?" I'll tell you this much. I've had a massive weight loss, right? I don't know if, I'm assuming you know that. I went from 247 down to 209. And I liked how I felt better at a lower body weight. I felt better about myself, more confident. I felt proud of myself for being able to accomplish something. And what I realized is looking good was a component, but building some credibility and some pride in myself, that ended up feeling a lot better than how my body looked or how I looked with a shirt off. Like, I liked that I could do something, and I could accomplish it. So I think if you're happy with the way you look, if you feel confident in your clothes and you have a good sense of self, good self-esteem, then no, it probably wouldn't be worth it. I mean, one thing I've heard enough people say, like, having a six-pack won't make you happy. But being healthy and accomplishing your goals and feeling good about the way you look in general, those things can add towards a better self-image and a higher level, higher quality of life. So yeah, I mean, I say take on the challenge, but just maybe don't put so many strings attached, like you'll be a happy, worthy person if you do it and not if you don't. Just take on the challenge to see if you can. And of course, I promote a healthy lifestyle, even when I behave unhealthy. TMY31. Do you think you'll moderate your drinking more now that you'll be taking medication? Are you worried about how the two will affect your well-being? So the medication I think you're referring to is clonazepam. I'm not taking the Lamictal at this point. I feel very confident that I won't. If there's a day that I'm doing so poorly that I'll take the clonazepam, which is a benzodiazepine, as needed, I won't drink those days. I'm trying. I mean, in my head, an ideal amount of drinking would be once a week, once every 2 weeks, something like that. So the more the question is, can I accept myself as someone who wants to get a little drunk when he drinks and not someone who necessarily wants to moderate? Or did I just across the board knock out any chance that this is possibly a healthy thing? That's been my real question. Mark Fleming asks, "Hi Noah, I have been prescribed clonazepam, Lamictal, Depakote, amongst several different medications in the past few years, yet I still have trouble coping with my depression, anxiety, and urges to drink. What's your strategy or strategies when you're in such a low state of mind and you go out in public and have to go through the motions of dealing with people and strangers, whether it be at work or in public? Also, have you ever felt major withdrawal from benzodiazepines?" I'm going to answer your last question first. I've never felt major withdrawals from benzodiazepines. I've never been on them long enough to develop a physical dependence. Prior to finding clonazepam, which is the generic form of Klonopin, I'd never taken any benzo more than 2 days in a row. I took the clonazepam like 0.25 per day for like 2.5 weeks. And then I realized I was probably leaning on it as a crutch. And so I stopped. I haven't taken it in about a week, and I felt no withdrawal symptoms. I've been totally fine. But I think that was just given the fact that I hadn't taken it very long. I mean, the tools, right? I look at the clonazepam as just a tool, not a solution. I look at, believe it or not, I kind of look at the drinking the same way. Like, cool, you can go be a part of a social function, get a little drunk, laugh, and be carefree, perhaps, right? Cool. But they're not solutions. And the overall goal remains the same. How do you deal with day-to-day life? What things can you implement into your life that can make day-to-day life doable? But my strategies are still just to stick to my structure, stick to my routine, say my prayers, work out, eat as healthy as I can, mood journal, see my doctor. Just do the little things and then lean on my tools as I need to. I don't put drinking in the same class as taking clonazepam on a high anxiety day, but I just mean I understand that they can't be solutions. What's up, Isaac asks, what if depression is justified and there is not a logical reason to feel normal? How do you overcome that? And say you accept it. Don't try to change it. If it's a logical response, like maybe the loss of a job, a marriage, a loved one, something like that, situational, I think you're supposed to feel it. And I think you need to let that happen and try not to escape it in an unhealthy way. I mean, control what you can and let the outcome be what they are, and go get more help if you're starting to feel suicidal. Underdog 47. Are there certain things that can trigger a major depression for you? I usually live under a constant cloud of depression that I have learned to live with. But ever so often there will be some incident that will trigger an onset of major depression that will send me into a downward spiral that can last for days, weeks, or even months, where I am filled with guilt, self-loathing, and suicidal thoughts. During these bad times, I don't want to go to work or see people and don't even feel like eating. Reading that was like reading my own thoughts. So what's weird is the trigger thing for me, it can be different. Like, it can be different things can be a trigger. Like, I got triggered by hearing someone make fun of God and it like questioned my sense of self and my higher power, you know? That triggered me. So I think while triggers can seem very random at times, I think it's just understanding stresses. How am I managing stress in my life and unhealthy relationships and unhealthy situations? How highly do I prioritize being in a safe environment and putting good quality things into my brain space from what I listen to, what I watch, and who I hang out with? It's rough though. What you described is horrible. I'm sorry. Sounds shitty as fuck. Jacob Mornington asks, what feeling do you avoid most of all and why? Oof. Shit. I don't know if suicidal thoughts are a feeling, but once I start having suicidal thoughts, I start getting real freaked out and I start panicking like I gotta change this because it's so uncomfortable. So I guess that falls under depression. But feelings of suicide, they scare me. I think they scare me so much because so many people commit suicide. I always ask myself why. Like, why did they do it? What would it take in me to finally get to that point? I've driven to the bridge. I've looked down. Just didn't jump. Why did they jump? When does someone officially snap? I think the suicidal thoughts that come up, once they last for more than a couple weeks, I start becoming afraid that maybe I'll snap. Like maybe I did finally hit that point of no return mentally and nothing scares me more. And so I start panicking like I need to do something. Something needs to change the way I'm feeling. Because what if I give up? That was a good question. I think that wraps up part 2 of the longest Q&A ever. I thank you guys for leaving the questions. I'll see you guys in part 3. We'll do as many as it takes to get the longest Q&A ever done. Thanks for your questions and your time. Peace, guys.